It's really starting to look like it's going to be Justin Gaethje, isn't it? Islam Makhachev has reportedly turned down a fight with Ilia Topuria. At least, that's what his team is saying. And honestly, that was the fight to make. That. The matchup the fans wanted. But to be fair, I kind of get it. Ilia only has one title defense, and he's moving up to lightweight without fully clearing out featherweight like a traditional champion would. Yes, he vacated his belt and took a risk, but the reality is, he didn't clean out 145 before moving up. On the other hand, who else is there? If Arman Tsarukyan isn't getting the title shot, and Charles Oliveira probably isn't either, then who's left? Don't tell me it's going to be Gaethje. If that's the direction, we're talking about another completely undeserved title shot. It's basically Dustin Poirier all over again. Both Gaethje and Poirier got their title shots off of one win against fighters outside the top 10. Dustin beat Benoit Sangdinas. Justin beat Rafael Fiziev. That's not a championship resume. And both guys were recently knocked out before that win. Poirier got slept by Gaethje, and Gaethje got stopped by Max Holloway just earlier this year. That's who we're giving the next title shot to. And let's be real, how do you think that fight goes? As soon as Gaethje's back hits the mat, it's over. Islam's going to dominate him. There's no real ground game resistance from Gaethje. If it were Arman versus Islam, that makes sense. Charles versus Islam, I can somewhat get behind that, especially if the UFC wants a name. Ilia versus Islam. That's the fight people are begging for. But Justin Gaethje coming off one win. Come on, he's ranked high because of his name, not because of his recent performances. Now, again, this isn't Islam himself turning down the Ilia fightis, his camp, which is important. It's possible, Islam said. I'll fight anyone, but his coaches and manager said otherwise. That's realistic, but even so, it doesn't look good optically, especially when you consider that one of Islam's most famous quotes is literally printed on the UFC walls. What does being champion mean? It means you're the best in the world, and if you're the best in the world, you should never say no to anyone. So whether it's his team or not, it creates this cloud of doubt. And now we're stuck wondering, what's next for Ilia Topuria? He vacated his belt. That was a major gamble. And now, without the belt on the table, he might be forced to fight either Charles Oliveira or maybe even Arman, which he previously said he wouldn't do unless it was for a title. But now, he may have no choice, because he gave up the featherweight strap and positioned himself for a super fight. That super fight just slipped away. Don't get me wrong. Love the idea of Ilia versus Dustin Poirier. That is the most exciting stand-up war you could make at lightweight. It's a dream matchup. Tistem's retiring. He's most likely taking one last fight, and that opponent might already be locked in. So if Dustin's out, then Charles or Arman have to be the next step for Ilia. Charles is dangerous, but more beatable. Defensively, Charles leaves a lot of openings, and if Ilia lands clean, it could be lights out. He's one of the hardest hitters in the sport right now, even at lightweight. But Charles is also the riskiest fight. He's the one guy who can KO Ilia or submit him. That striking, that grappling, it's a threat from both ends. Now Arman. Different beast. Probably harder to beat, but not as risky. Ilia just needs to stop the wrestling. If he can do that, I think he knocks Arman out. But, again, big if. What Ilia should absolutely not do is fight someone like Max Holloway again, or guys like Mateusz Gamrot, Dan Hooker, or anyone else outside the top 3. If you're Ilia, you only take the Charles fight or the Arman fight. Nothing else makes sense. And here's the thing, he has to win that next fight. Because if he doesn't, that gamble of vacating his title becomes one of the worst decisions in recent UFC history. He put all his chips on the table, aiming to become a 2-division champ and the new face of the UFC. Especially in Spain, he's already a national icon. The UFC's been teasing big events. There, he's on the front cover of their top magazines. He's close with global football stars. He was right on the cusp of superstardom. But now, he has to beat Islam Makhachev to get there, and to even earn that shot. He's got to get through a dangerous fight first. The crazy part, if Ilia beats Arman and then beats Islam, that would be one of the greatest 4-fight runs in UFC history. From Volk to Max to Arman to Islam. That's legacy stuff. That's Khabib tier greatness. If he pulls that off, let him fight whoever. He wants bring out Brock Lesnar, for all I care. He'll have earned it. As for Islam, if he ends up fighting Justin Gaethje, that's an easy win. Arman and Charles are way tougher tests. But I still think he beats both of them. And against Ilia, that's the fight. That's the one where we find out how special these two really are. Now, with Islam turning down Ilia, and all these potential title contenders either retiring or ducking each other, the UFC lightweight division is going through a major shift. Dustin's on the way out. Justin's almost done. Charles has maybe 1 or 2 left. Chandler, too. That entire generation is fading. So who's the new wave? You're looking at it. Islam, Arman, Ilia. That's your future top 3. Max might still be in the mix, but he's already said he's not fighting Arman. And as time goes on, these younger guys are catching up. Soon, we'll see names like Ignacio Bahamondes, Joel Alvarez, Mateusz Rebetsky, maybe even Hufi Misio Hafi start to climb the ladder. The division's going to look different. So, here's what makes sense for matchmaking now. That Ilia isn't fighting Islam Makhachev, BS. Arman Tsarukyan too. It's overdue, and it's the most competitive fight. Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira, the next #1 contender bout. Justin Gaethje versus Don Hooker. Since Gaethje won't fight Dustin and is being handed a title shot. Dustin Poirier versus Max Holloway 3. That's the fight to make before both are done. Michael Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett, confirmed. Mateusz Gamrot versus Renato Moicano, makes sense. Benail Darius versus Ignacio Bahamondes, Benoit Saint Denis, V's. Joel Alvarez, Grant Dawson versus Misio Hofithat. S. How the lightweight division should be structured going forward. So let me know in the comments. Do you think Islam should have taken the Ilia fight? And how would you matchmake the lightweight division now that things have shifted? If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.